Hello again. This is Brian Herbst. Welcome to Brian's Blenders. Just a recap of what Brian's Blenders is all about. It's where I talk about mistakes that I made in my 40-year career, where I did things that hurt my career, hurt my relationship with others, or impacted the business I was working for at the time. And this is episode 14, and the title is I Didn't Value My Time Properly. So this goes back to mid-2000s. I was at AFL, and I had just started Specialty Cables, and was trying to get it to grow. And so I was kind of going after anything and everything to figure out how to grow the business, how to create a business, really. It started off with zero revenue. And so I'm talking to anybody and everybody. And I had an idea after talking to some people in the industry, that something I thought would be interesting. And it was the intent was a fiber optic cable that was ruggedized, that would be suitable for high temperature, that would monitor strain. That seemed to be something I heard a few times in discussions with various people in the industry. And so I made a tiny little sample and started showing it around to people I was interacting with at trade shows and some potential customers that I'd met, and actually got a bite from a big oil company. Won't say the name, but I think in one of those quarters that I was working with them, they made $10 billion in the quarter. So big outfit. So this is somebody that I really wanted to work with. And I was talking to this scientist about it, and I said, well, so what would you do with this? And his intent was, his hope was that he could find a way to use it to monitor what's called subsidence. So in the oil and gas world, as you pump oil out of a well, the well is supporting the strata above it. And what can happen is, as that oil is pumped out, that oil was supporting all the structures above it, and that structure can actually shift down. It's called subsidence. And he was talking about doing it in the Gulf of Mexico. He said they got umpteen wells down there, and he thought if they could make this work, it could really be big. So I'm getting all excited about it. And if you want to know a little bit more about subsidence, there's a little article in Wikipedia called Lost Hills Field, where it talks about subsidence in this area that was, I think, 8 to 9 feet in total, and they were getting about 9 inches a year of subsidence, which is pretty significant because it's not right just at the well, it's the field that's doing this. And so people are living over some of this, so it can be pretty problematic. So I sit down with him and we talk about what he's looking for, and he gives me a big laundry list of things that he would like to try, and it's like, okay. And so and this is where my blender occurs, I go to estimate the charge, and I grossly underestimated what it was going to take. I thought it might take 20 hours to do what he was asking for, and it had to take at least 150, if not 200 hours ultimately. And I just priced it too low. I was incorrectly fearful that they would go somewhere else, that they would find another solution, or I'd price myself out. And I kind of ignored the fact that this company made $10 billion of profit in a quarter. They could have paid clearly. And of course, I put the bid out there. I get it, of course, because it's too low. And I started working on it, and I quickly realized, oh shoot, I've made a big mistake. And looking back, that's when I should have called the scientist and said, I should have bid it per hour. Would have been the smart thing to do, and I didn't. And I should have sat down with him and said, look, I misestimated all this. I can do this portion of your list, but I can't do that. And I think he would have worked with me. I think he would have been accommodating on that. And what ended up happening is, essentially, I'm working for him for free. I'm ignoring other business that I could have gotten, to chase this opportunity. And I ended up providing him some some samples to play with, and he did some testing with it. And then eventually he partnered with an oil service company, and they got pulled into the conversation, and we started talking to them about, where do we take this technology? And as I sat down with them, I came up with another idea of how we could tackle this that was going to be robust enough to survive what they were trying to do, but was going to be way more complicated to make it. But we found a way to make them a sample. And when I got into this project, I had hoped that this would be long lengths of cable, high price. And he came back and said, no, we're probably going to use this in some tens of meters, put it around the case, what's called a casing of the well, which is basically a big metal pipe that goes down, that they insert into the well before essentially the production equipment goes into that. And the idea was to spiral wrap this fiber optic cable around it in the areas where they thought there would be a risk. So it was tens of meters of cable sales, not the kilometers and kilometers I was hoping for. So I was a little disappointed with that. But also because everything that surrounded this was so involved, it just moved crazy slow. And so this new cable that I designed, we made a sample. I think it was a few hundreds of meters. And little did I know that would cover many, many wells that they were initially looking at. And so really didn't get any sales from it for a while, and for quite a while. And eventually, the equipment that we're using was used in the telecom side, and we had looked at the product that machine was making, and decided we didn't really want to make that anymore. So we obsoleted the equipment, and then it was like, okay, we're going to scrap the equipment or sell it. And so I went back to the service company and said, hey, do you want to buy it? They said, no, I don't have money. Turns out some years later, I heard that they finally got some money and went and bought some new equipment and are making the cable themselves. So a lot of work for, turns out, not a whole lot. I mean, I did get a good relationship, and that did lead to a few other things. So, probably not all bad, but fundamentally, I just didn't price things right the first time. I didn't value my time appropriately. I didn't really understand, you price it to what the market will bear. And I didn't. I priced it way below. And I thought for strategic reasons, but that was kind of not really true at the end of the day. So that was my blunder, not valuing my time. And you can extrapolate that into many things. You need to be focused on what really moves the business forward. And I thought I was, but it turns out not so much. The other mistake, which is if you've been watching all my videos, this is a reoccurring theme, is that idea I came up with, I didn't patent. If I would have patented it, and I could have patented it, at least we would have gotten some royalties out of it going forward to at least get some return on investment over time. So that's a bit unfortunate. But anyway, so that concludes episode 14. So today I'm in Fredricksburg, Texas, at Fredricksburg Brewery, and I'm having a beer called, Enchanted Rock Red Ale. And Fredericksburg is a cool little town if you haven't been. It's in the heart of the hill country, which is just where I grew up. Not Fredericksburg, I grew up in Comfort, Texas, but the whole area is pretty cool. A lot of German heritage in the area, just good fun. Anyway, so that's it. Hope you like this, and I'll be back with you next week. Take care.